Hello. Good morning. Good Sunday morning. I am in my studio and I'm working on a couple of different projects. I just finished an episode and sent this out for one of my clients, nicheincome.fm, a cool show about Amazon sellers and eBay sellers that sort of gives them a leg up, talks about the news in that industry, and then they do pretty good interviews with different people who are doing well in that field. Very cool show, and that one just got sent out. I'm working on an episode of Felicity Rewind this morning for the TV Rewind network, and then I've got an episode of Alias Rewind backed up behind that. And then either today or tomorrow, I've got a two-part episode that's going to publish for the Get Empowered podcast. Conversation with Priscilla. What is Priscilla's last name? I'm going to screw it up, but a great conversation. She is a manager at I Love Kickboxing, but her real passion is activism. As most of the episodes of the Get Empowered podcast are all about. But this one is a really good conversation. Judith and she spent more than an hour together, and I just couldn't cut it up into 30 minutes. I couldn't do it. So we went with a two-part episode for that. Judith, by the way, has another good episode coming right behind that about her experiences at Podcast Movement. And that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about this morning is what I thought about Podcast Movement. 2017, I should say. I went to Fort Worth in 2015. I went to Chicago in 2016, and now I went to Anaheim in 2017. And, I listened to the feed this morning with Rob Walsh and Elsie Escobar from Libsyn. And both of them talked about the fact that this is, without a doubt now, unequivocally, the largest conference for podcasters. It is. It's such an amazing event. And the interesting thing is, this year for me, I was working. I had a booth, and so I was there representing my company almost the entire time, except when I was speaking, or I went to one session for one of my clients. Jonathan Oakes spoke, and I went to see him. I went to see my hero, Pod Vader, Jay Soderbergh. I saw his presentation, and I went to see Dan Carlin's keynote presentation. Other than that, I didn't make a single session, and I only skipped the last day to go to Disneyland. Friday, there were a handful of events Friday morning, and then there were two keynote sessions from Aaron Mankey and Shannon Kaysen, and I missed both of those to go to Disneyland. But even only going to a couple of sessions, even actually attending only a couple of sessions, it was a tremendous event for me, and it was absolutely worth every penny to go. And I cannot recommend it enough to you if you're a podcaster or you want to be a podcaster. You need to put it on your calendar for 2018. It's about the community. It's about the network. It's about the friends that you make and the friendships that you solidify in real life by actually congregating and hanging out with these people, by meeting them face to face. In my case, I got to introduce a lot of you to my kids and my wife, and again, that's another level in the friendship. So that was all very exciting, and that's why you have to go, even if you can't make any of the keynotes or the sessions. Here's the cool thing, though. If you get the virtual ticket, you can access all of that content after the fact, and I cannot wait. I've actually already watched a couple of the sessions. The virtual ticket is live right now. There was a handful of content made available before the event, even this year, that was not actually at the event. It was just extra content, virtual ticket only content. And two of my clients are on there. I've got Giovanna Rossi represented, and Nina Babel as well from the Keep It 100 Girl podcast. Giovanna Rossi hosts the Well Woman Show. Both of those ladies have content. They're great sessions on the virtual ticket that you can get right now. So if you haven't purchased that, if you missed out on Podcast Movement, you can still buy the virtual ticket by itself and get access to all of that content, and then all of the sessions like mine as soon as that's available. It's generally about 30 days after the event. So that's my thoughts on Podcast Movement. This year was bigger and better than ever. It really was. I mean, of course, you say that every year. That's marketing speak, right? But this year was bigger and better than ever. It was almost 2,000 podcasters there as attendees. A tremendous number of vendors and exhibitors in the exhibit hall, and then a lot of space too. That's the other thing. Because of the nature of the hotel that we were at last year in Chicago, it was just a more confined space that we were in. It was actually a very big hotel. They had like 3 wings, I think, for conferences. But the wing that we were in was sort of smaller than the area that we had this year at the Anaheim Marriott. And so while the conference got bigger year over year, it didn't feel as crowded as it did last year. And that's both sort of a downside at times because you felt like maybe there wasn't as much foot traffic for certain moments in the exhibit hall, when in truth, you were seeing just as many as you would have last year. It just was more spread out. But that made it much more comfortable. There were lots of areas to congregate. There were plenty of areas to go and have a quiet conversation with somebody, or to have a meeting with somebody, or to make a phone call or whatever. Anyway, it was so much better than it has been in the past. And then the other thing that I want to say about Podcast Movement before I tell you about the little bonus that I'm working on this morning, is that next year is going to be in Philly. And I will say this, travel is really crazy, and I know like the schedules can be crazy, especially if you're like me and you got a large family, or if you've got young kids. That could be an issue. If you miss out on any one year, grab that virtual ticket, grab it while it's cheap, and get yourself access to all the content, and then just put the next one on the calendar. Like they are going to move this conference around. That's clear now. And so if you feel like I just can't make it one year, don't feel bad. Don't feel disconnected from the community. Stay active, stay involved, and then know that we're going to be back closer to your neck of the woods before you know it. I cannot wait to go to Philly next year. I cannot wait to hear where we're going in 2019, and I'm excited to be a part of the Podcast Movement community. Quickly, because I got to go do some daddy stuff before I get to start creating some content this morning. So I've told you about the podcast that I'm editing. I am also working on one other project. I am putting the finishing touches. I'm putting the finishing touches on a Podcasting 101 course. I'm going to put it up on sale on my website soon. It's going to be $25. But if you buy the iPadPodcasting.com course, right now it's $49 for that. It'll go up to $99 on September 5th. If you buy the iPad podcasting course, you're going to get Podcasting 101 for free. And what is Podcasting 101? Well, I cannot tell you the number of clients that I have that buy my services for editing or production, and then they go, okay, well, what do we need a media host for? How can I upload to iTunes? I'm going to answer the basic questions about what podcasting is, how one does it, and why one does it, and what you need to ask yourself before you get into this thing. So that's Podcasting 101. It's going to be for sale on my site, but it'll also be included if you purchase iPadPodcasting.com and register today. Get it for $49. It goes up to $99 on September 5th. All right. That's my pitch, and I'll be telling you more about Podcasting 101 as we get ready for launch. All right, it's coming. Thanks for everybody that's watching this.